live. About to go live. About to go live. We are live.
We are live
from the PMG studios from Prejippie Music. Yes. Happy Friday. Wait a minute. Let's get you right. Sorry. Let's get you right over here because we can't see you. All right. That's still weird.
What?
This one.
Oh.
That's weird. This is weird.
Bad now?
Not really.
This the one what? This is for Facebook?
Yes.
Facebook, YouTube. Right?
Right, yes.
Hey.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We're here to celebrate the Obtanium Flow album release. So, welcome. Thank you guys for tuning in. We already got one person. Oh, it's so sweet. Thank you. Hey. All right. So,
go ahead.
What you had all kinds of ideas this time. So normally, I come up with my big long list of things.
Well, I think over the period of time in which we've done this
since May, I think.
Since April, I think.
Yeah,
right?
April.
Since April, since we dropped the first single, which was "Love Freely," right?
Yes.
Since we've done this, what do you call this approach?
This is the waterfall. I like the Russian doll, but
okay.
I think it's commonly referred to as the waterfall
approach. Okay, yes. Since we talked about that, we talked about like the origins of this record. Right. And so it's a record I think that probably started in 2020.
Really?
So I think it started during the pandemic. So meaning that we started to pull together what I think was going to be an acoustic record.
Okay.
So, and that would be, if you're listening to their album, that would be Flower Girl, Rings, Every Heartbeat, and Enraptured, and Instant Lover.
Right.
So that was like 5 songs that kind of started off down this acoustic kind of vibe. So meaning that it was done with basically acoustic guitars, and the Kayla bass, which is back over there, ukulele bass, right?
So if
all
you're
those
on
songs,
YouTube,
you can see it. It's the Kayla.
If you're YouTube, you can see it, but if you're on Facebook, hold on. You know what? Right back there.
Yeah. So like, if you could look that bass up, it's really a cool bass, but it's got a nice little sound to it.
Yeah, a little thuddy kind of.
Yeah, it's a nylon string bass guitar, and which I think is really, really good. And so I don't think we have any keys on those songs.
Okay.
So on any of those songs,
no keys,
no keyboards on those songs, and they were really acoustic. So there were other acoustic songs such as "Dreams,"
right?
And I think there was like "Love and Feeling," which
didn't make the cut.
Well, yeah.
Right.
So it's something that's done.
Okay.
"Somewhere in Heaven."
Yeah.
These were a couple of other acoustic songs that could have gone along with that batch.
Yeah.
Of tunes. Oh, "Next to You."
Oh,
and Mystic Valley Drive.
Yeah.
So those were others that were all part of this acoustic album.
Right.
That basically we could have gone with. Yeah. But although it was instrumentally, cohesive.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily cohesive stylistically.
Okay. Right.
So these songs kind of went all over
different
the place.
Genre bending.
Yeah, Sweet Thing was another one.
Yeah.
That was kind of a part of this same acoustic thing, right? Yeah. So I think along the way, One Love came.
One Love.
Yeah. So One Love came, and that kind of changed everything. Because One Love begot It's Gonna Be All Right, which begot Give Love Freely, which begot Lovely Mist.
Feel like we're reading the Bible here. All right. Right. All right.
Which begot So Restless.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden you got these songs that are fitness by. Oh, and I forgot. And also which we got More Love Planted.
Right. Which is the single, quote unquote, that we are highlighting in the next live stream, which is next Friday. Yeah. Because we want to make sure that the music video is representative of who we are now. So we want to give it a little bit more time. Yeah. So next Friday, 7 p.m., a very short live stream to debut that video for More Love Planted. Yes. Yeah.
And so again, there was another song, which I think was a little bit more of what? It echoes the saying at the back of the wall. Okay, yeah, that's where the title came from. Yeah. More Love Planted, More Love Granted. Yeah, right. It actually came from that, right? So, and those songs kind of took everything in I wouldn't even say a different direction as much as I think those songs kind of fit together better. Okay. Than maybe the acoustic project that we were playing. Okay. Right. And so another song that was kind of part of this project that we left off was Find My Joy. Right. So if you was another song. Are a Patreon subscriber, which we will leave the link below. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you will have access to that song that was left off this album to make room for So Restless. Yeah. So just, again, if you're interested in hearing that, join our Patreon. We have upgraded the tiers. We've made it more appropriate. When you join that Patreon, you are supporting all of the creative things that we do, including the book. That's right. The book is digital now. Holiday 2023 is the code to get it at 50% off. So if you're interested in that, Be the Next DIY Rockstar Handbook and Workbook. You get them both together, and that is available now for a limited time. The paperback, the physical copies are coming from Amazon in January. But right now we're offering it at a super incredible discount, instant download for the ebook and the ebook workbook. So if you're interested, I mean, some people are interested in fortune and fame. Other people are trying to make an impact and reach people. And I think that's kind of what we've been doing for these past 7 years. Yeah. Again, our YouTube subscriber count has been growing to the point where we're like, I don't know, 59K. 59K. So if you're interested, and we started out at 137 subscribers. And I'm not saying 137 and some change, 137 subscribers in 2017. And we have grown, but it's been constant work. So, but if you're interested in knowing that journey, again, the link is below, and there's a holiday code until New Year's Day, Christmas Day. Christmas Day, after that, it goes up because we're launching actual physical copies of the book. So yeah. Yeah. But you had this whole long thing. So before I even get to any of my stuff. No, I'm just saying it was just when we start thinking about the evolution of the record. Right. So and it's following up Sugar Fit, because we were a little worried about Sugar Fit is kind of our flagship right now because all of our artist mentoring funnels point to Sugar Fit. And so we were a little bit worried about following it up with something that was more reggae or world inspired. And so, but we kept down that road. You know, we follow our heart. That's kind of always the thing, is no matter what other people are doing, what is speaking to us, right? So that's kind of what led us to the reggae and world, which has always kind of been there. Yeah, it has been. Because even on anything, even on Sugar Fit, we had elements of that reggae world. Yeah, but not quite as pronounced as what we've had on previous albums. So meaning that if we think back to like Higher Up, Deeper In, there's Chameleon. Yeah. You know, or you go back to like Welcome to My World. Mm-hmm. There's My Brother's Keeper. Yeah. The Patriot. Yeah. So that I think probably have more of a link to the reggae type thing. Yeah. You know, but this is the first time I think we've ever leaned in. Yeah. And said we're gonna commit to this for a whole record. But you know what? That's I think Sugarfit kind of marked an evolutionary course for us as far as cohesiveness goes.
Yeah.
And leaning more into saying, okay, we're going to do things a little bit more cohesively, stylistically.
Yes.
I think we were kind of there thematically, but not necessarily stylistically.
Right.
So, and it's been a little bit different too, as far as spending more time editing.
Yeah.
You know, everything doesn't make the cut.
Yeah, which is why I find my joy, again, is available to you if you're a Patreon subscriber, and we welcome you to come over there and check it out. However, it is not available on the album. We just didn't want to make the album incredibly long. I mean, we still like the whole album approach.
Yeah, and not only that, I think, you know, So Restless kind of fit the record a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was just a little bit closer stylistically. And don't get me wrong, I mean, you know, I think we have 12 songs that stylistically definitely work well together. And then we have 2 other songs, Dawn and Daylight, that are a definite departure.
Yeah, but Daylight is one song. I told you guys, I already told you last time, we start our days, but I know I'm the one that requested every day. Before I leave the house for my day job, I need to have something encouraging, and that is the song that gets me going. It gets me forward thinking and thinking about the things that I want to accomplish with my life, not just the job, not just earning money, but what is it that I want to bring to the world, and Daylight gives me that. So when I hear that, the lyrics speak to me, and the music, there's like a balm, a salt, you know, it softens my leaving the house to go do other work to make money to come back home. But I'm saying it makes me feel like, okay, you're bringing joy to the world, and that's kind of the big goal. So you're not just spending your days selling your time, but you're actually bringing your light into the world. So that's kind of what Daylight is. And actually, we're thinking about doing the DIY Rockstar Planner for the first of the year, and Daylight is going to be one of the songs in the playlist because we have a start your day list. And then that's one of the things that if you want to start your day, there'll be a playlist of all the songs that will kind of fire you up and you get started for your day. Yeah,
I think had we done like, and actually I should have mentioned that too. So Gone is yet another one of the acoustic ones. Okay. So I mean it was another acoustic one.
And it's a creepy one, but I like it.
It doesn't have the Kalo on that one, as I use a fretless jazz bass on that one. Okay. So but still it was kind of in that whole acoustic thing. Yeah. So there was a lot of, you know, a lot culled from that and not completed project and pulled into this one. Okay. So it's which I think probably gives it a bit of a different, because I think it's almost unfair to say that this is a reggae record.
Okay, what do you mean?
That I don't think it's necessarily reggae. I don't think you could call it a, you know, like a Afrobeat record or something like that, because it touches on those styles, but there's a twist.
What do you mean?
You know, it's not just straight up reggae. Like if you know, throw on a Peter Tosh record, or you throw on
that's true.
a Burning Spear record, or you throw on a Bob Marley record or whatever else, and then you put this on, you're not gonna get the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just not. But it's definitely flavored with it. So
in different type, we call it the many flavors of reggae, because or it's not just even one type.
Or like the African diaspora, because I think there's a hint of, like, you know, maybe what would be more African type stuff. There's a hint of R&B. Yeah. There's a hint of reggae. Yeah. So it's sort of like, you know, if you've ever listened to the Police, you know, that they had definitely strong reggae undercurrent. Yeah. But I don't think you would call the Police reggae. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't think, even though it's definitely there.
It's definitely an influence.
Yes. And you can definitely feel it there. And that's kind of the way these songs are. So they're not quite where if you listen to them, you say, oh, well, it's not like reggae. So it's just hard when when you kind of have categories that things have to fit into,
right? And those
sometimes
categories
they classify things.
And I was about to say, and even those categories change because newer generation's version of that, they may not see that correlation at all.
Yeah.
Versus the
but normally they, it's sort of like you can say reggae is probably, migrated into things like dubstep,
right?
Into things like world beat, but at least they decide, okay, we're gonna change the title of it,
right?
We're gonna name it something new, know. Whereas it, kind of what we're doing, since it's not necessarily a community that's doing it,
right?
You don't necessarily have like this thing that you put on it, as much as I know for me, it's like. So I always kind of throw Prejippie in front of it.
Yeah.
So that becomes like my, it's our way of saying, if you want a label, it's Prejippie writing.
Right. And
it's Prejippie world.
And so maybe this is the time to discuss what is a Prejippie, what that means.
Yeah. So,
When I met you, you already had this label. And this label spoke to me because I'm multifaceted, but you explained it, what you meant by Prejippie.
And well, at the time it was preps, jits, and hippies.
Right.
So like jitterbugs, the preppy part. So I think it was just every single part of my personality. So there was a part of me that just felt like, oh wow, I need to have been at Woodstock. Right.
Right. So the hippie part.
That was definitely a part. And then there was a part of me that grew up in the hood.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We have that experience.
Maggie Bewick.
Yeah. Maggie Bewick film projects for me.
Right,
so we've been there. Right.
You know what I mean? So and then there is the preppy part, because there's the part that loves. That's
we love to learn. Right. We love to learn.
I love the stuff about space. I love about the human brain. I love all the rest of that
history.
Kind of stuff.
Right. All of that.
I just love learning. So there is that preppy aspect.
Yeah.
So,
and we had that in common. That was. For years, I would just go to the library to browse, to find the new things out.
I guess to kind of bring all these things together when you think about just being ghetto. So, like for me, I would actually skip classes I was supposed to be going to go to the library.
Right.
See that. So
and I would skip lunch to go to the library, and after a while, I got caught, and they were like, "You gotta go to lunch."
Yeah, well, at least you were skipping something like that. I was skipping a class that I was supposed to be in to go to the library. Yeah. So me skipping the class is supposed to be in kind of a ghetto mentality.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was actually skipping it and not doing something quote unquote fun, but going to the library, that's the part that brings the preppy part in. So combine all together, you get Prejippie.
Yeah.
So that's kind of,
and that is what has persisted. So you came up with that in what, 85 or 84?
Yeah, probably 84 or something
84,
like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I met him in 86 and I adopted it, and that's what's been our vibe ever since.
Yes.
Because we can't just do one thing. As you can see, we do the podcast, we do the blog, we do the YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, we have travel videos, we have unboxings, we have all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Recording tips. We have, of course, the Gavin Jam is the video as well. So, and we've been told that we need to narrow down, and we just can't choose because the whole point is to create things that you enjoy making. Yes. And so by doing that ends up, and the same thing with songwriting, that ends up with the song is going to go where it's going to go, which may not be
where it's supposed to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So you might not line up neatly in a style. Right. Or I should say in a genre.
Right.
That it just might not fit neatly there. As much as it's gonna have hints of that.
Right.
And it's gonna have hints of other things.
Yeah.
And and it's gonna be something that's kind of our voice.
Right.
Doing whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, you can call it a blessing and a curse.
Right.
That we kind of have. Is that, when we do these things, we kind of bring that voice to it. And
it's kind of the voice in the wilderness. It's the tree falling in the forest.
Right.
But if you can get a couple animals digging it, then maybe you got a tribe. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so. And that's the thing. It's like you're probably going to find a lot more people who don't like it than like it.
Right.
But, that's kind of the way it is.
And it's always been that way. It's just now with social media, we were talking about this earlier. With social media, there's just a chance to share it more readily.
Yeah.
But I think we've been people who created all along.
Yeah.
So this is just, I don't know, for us, it's like, wow, now instead of, back in the olden days, I was printing out the zine, we were distributing it through the snail mail.
Yeah.
And now it's like we can make it, every week and put it out there, and it's not as, not as hard to get it out to people. So
and I think kind of part of it too was like, I know for me, and I think you had similar experiences, sort of like the first songs I learned to play were my own songs.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I before I even knew I could play something off the radio,
right,
I played my stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know I could play, until I showed up in the band room one time and I played, one of the guys there's bass, and people stood around me and said, "Oh, you're pretty good." And I'm like, "Really?"
Right, because you're in your own little thing.
Right, because I think even what I was playing was something I had made up.
Yeah.
And so I kind of always had that part of it.
Yeah, I was trying to create.
Yeah, so the creative part has always been there, but I think it even kind of carried into learning cover tunes.
What do you mean?
Because even when I would learn a cover or I would learn to play something, in my way of playing it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it'll sound close enough where you'll know what I'm playing.
Right.
But I've never been someone to learn something verbatim.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I've always been someone who would capture the feel.
Right. Yeah, you're good at that. You're really good
at that. Not.
Yeah.
But not necessarily capture it note for note.
Yeah.
That's not the way that I learn.
No, I think that's the secret sauce. But yeah. And then so I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were talking about how we can quote unquote beat AI, and part of that discussion was be who you are and be original. Be who you are, which is going to be original, versus trying to be somebody else, which a lot of people who are trying to go viral
into AI.
Right, because AI cannot do that because they've never done that before. They never just leaned into whatever,
so that's the thing. AI can't predict. I mean, it can try to predict. Right. Like you could take, stuff that Michael Jackson has done before.
Right.
And you could say, okay, what would Michael Jackson sound like doing reggae?
Right.
And it could try to reasonably predict what that might sound like. Right. Mm-hmm. But it might just be completely off.
Right.
It's sort of like with Prince. We started. That was the one style I felt like Prince didn't really do.
Right. I mean, he had Blue Light, but other than that,
but I'm just saying, a little bit of reggae section in 17 Days.
Right.
And but other than that, he really didn't touch that.
Right.
So that was always
outlier.
It was an aspect, I think, of the sound that we had that was always something where
the people who tried to copy it were not. That wasn't what they usually picked up on.
No.
The people like J Boy and Ready for the World.
Right, but because it wasn't a part of
his core,
his sound. But it kind of became a part of ours.
Yeah.
And so that's a part of our sound that it comes through in the R&B or whatever else.
Yeah.
Or adding that to the reggae that we do.
Right. Yeah.
So that adds a different component. Yeah. And it kind of changes things up in a way that makes it a bit different. Now, whether it's different good, different bad, that's all different thing.
Right. Well, that's for you guys to decide. Right. We don't concern ourselves with that. We concern ourselves with, are we proud and happy with what we're producing? And that, I guess that we can't worry about the results because the results are in you guys' hands. But we can't control whether we are listening to our hearts and actually producing the things that feel true to us.
Right.
That is all we can control. And that's when I was listening to the podcast today about Google and search engines and algorithms. I don't know if you guys know, but Google has done an update, and there are a lot of bloggers who used to get tens of thousands of views a day, and now they're getting a fraction of that because sometimes they're writing AI content or they're writing content that they think is going to spike the algorithm. Mm-hmm. And they're like, Google is saying, but are you unique? Because if you're trying to spike the algorithm, you're probably going to do something you've seen in the top 10, when you Google something, the top 10 posts. So you're probably trying to replicate something like that. Whereas they're saying that if you are writing originally and not trying to spike that, not trying to copy somebody else, now Google is going to favor your content. And I'm like, well, this is our day because that's what we do. And we follow our heart with what we're going to do, as far as the topics and the subject matter. And, again, there's a travel book coming, I'm sure. DIY Rockstars Travel. But yeah, so that is, I haven't seen anything like that. I don't know, search, but I don't think people are clamoring for that. But one of these days, but even if they don't, it's just something that I feel like I want to express.
Yeah, and that's kind of at the end of the day, that's what it should be about,
Yeah.
To the extent that you can. And I know it could be different if you're dependent on this for your way of life.
Yeah.
If it's the way you make a living,
right?
I don't know what the pressures would be,
right? If we had to pay the rent off,
right? And then all of a sudden, whether or not we get a view or people tuning in live,
it makes a difference, right?
So I mean,
whether our kids can get shoes based on the fact that
people are tuning in, put food on the table, or things like that, based on people tuning in. Yeah. That's a whole different level. Yeah. That kind of changes. The game plan, so then, where you're willing to take money from and, what you're willing to do and things like that, it becomes a little bit more challenging.
And then even the time and effort, because if you're doing it for those purposes, there is you can't guarantee that you're going to like everything you do. I guess it's like us going to our day jobs. We chose careers that are something that we, enjoy doing to a certain extent, but as far as the things that we're doing, we don't necessarily enjoy every part of it, and we would much rather be doing what we're doing. However, we don't want the pressure from having what we're doing have to pay the bills.
Right, but that that kind of goes with everything. It's like there's parts of this, being a DIY rock star that you might find that, hey, I don't like this component,
right?
And because it's not all about playing instruments,
just making the music, right?
It's not just about those types of things. I mean, like I don't like engineering. I don't like having to mix. I don't like having to do a whole bunch of this stuff.
I don't like video editing. I don't know if you guys know, but I wrote a whole post about it. I do not like it, but I made my peace with it because we've tried to hire out, and unless you are a person and you have an edgy style and you would like to try to do something for us, but other than that, when we've tried to hire people, it just hasn't worked out.
Right.
So I made my peace. So there's some things that you have to do to move things along that may not be things that you love. But the final product that you put out needs to be something that you believe in. And I guess that's where I feel like it wouldn't make any sense for us to continue doing it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. We were talking about that, about people tapping out. Like if you start YouTube and you tap out, you start the podcast, you tap out, it's probably because you're trying to chase something and not because you're actually enjoying making the episodes, making the content.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to, you have to deal with having 0 views.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really, you got to be ready that, hey, I might put this thing up and, it might just be us two that
right. And be okay with that.
Yeah. And you gotta kind of live through that.
Yeah.
Before you find people who are actually gonna start, tuning in.
And you gotta beat your own drum and be confident. And I think that's hard to do.
Yeah.
When you think nobody is liking what you're doing.
Right.
But it keep beating that drum, and eventually it's like that was the one dancer guy. He dances, and everybody thinks he's crazy. Yeah. But then one other person starts dancing,
and then all of a sudden
the whole crowd is dancing.
Starting other people joining it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm saying, and I guess for us, we're not sitting around waiting for that other dancer. We're just doing what we do because what else would we be doing? I keep saying that about spending money because even, I don't know if you guys know, but we did the artist mentoring thing, and we have a funnel that brings people to Bourgeoisie Paper Jam through Facebook ads. And, you know, there was one time when we were thinking about stopping it because it cost a little bit, a chunk of change every month. And we were saying, oh, but that's a lot of money. And it's like, yeah, but I'm thinking about takeout. I'm thinking about people who have hobbies fixing cars. I'm thinking about people who spend it on going to bars. I'm thinking about all of that. And what would I rather be doing with my money than trying to bring people to the art that we're making? So I'm saying for me, you know, over the year and a half, I made my peace with that. I'm like, you know, it'll be what it's going to be as far as money. But that's why we work every day. We work so that we don't have to worry about the art making the money for us. So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and if it does, that's great.
Right, but the thing is too is that's the other part that if it does make money and it's on your own terms, then it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. And that's a bonus, right?
Yeah, it's a lot easier record or whatever to produce,
make, yeah,
or whatever the content might be. Yeah. To produce if it's something that you enjoy doing.
Well, that's what we were deciding with sponsorship because originally we were chasing sponsors. I'm not gonna lie. When we first started, I just knew, oh my goodness, we're gonna get a vendor sponsorship. And the more I found out, the less likely that was to happen because we're not people who folks are, you know, breaking down the door or whatever. But then I started thinking we like to try different bases, different experiences. I wouldn't want to choose. We've actually been approached by a couple people, and the people who have approached us is like, well, I believe in your product.
Right.
I don't know if I want to be, you know, telling other people to try this product that's not something I love. So now, of course, if it's Coach or if it's Fender, we might consider. But a lot of these other products, you know, we have just backed away and said, you know what, we're just going to review the things that we're liking. We're going to, you know, wear the things that we like. We're going to buy the things we like. We're going to have the vacations that we want and not worry about whether or not Marriott sponsors it or, you know, or Viking cruise lines or whatever else. So,
right. Yeah. You know, and again, and the whole thing is just trying to make sure that you actually believe in the product.
Yeah.
What it does and that kind of thing. So.
And not being held down to just that one product. I guess my thing with Fender thing was I didn't want, because you love the Fuldera, you love the Sandberg, you love the Kayla. So now if they say, well, you're limited to only putting up Fender videos, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel okay? Because like, hey, well, they're paying the bills. Or is it like, well, you know what? I really would like to make a video about this, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, because I like it and it's new and I'm excited about it.
Right.
And I guess that was the issue for me, is the more that we went along, the further we've gotten along this journey, the more I'm saying that's not necessarily what I want. I don't want to be locked into one
specific
brand, right? Or yeah, I want to be able to say if it's something that's new and odd, and I want to try it. I want to be able to showcase that product. So
yeah.
So right now we're not necessarily interested in that. We're more interested in getting the music out.
Yeah.
So
than anything else.
Yeah. So we're in a different season of our journey. So yeah.
Yeah. That definitely is true. So I think what else can we say about the album? The other part I would say about the album is probably different is I think it's for us a good mix between the organic and the electronic.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I mean, because especially over here on YouTube, you can kind of see over here, you see MPC is there, and over here you can see that we got the Roland, and and down here I got the Yamaha montage. Mm-hmm. So all that stuff, you know, played a role in this record. So I mean, that's, you know, along with the guitars,
right?
You know, so I think every single guitar that's on that back wall was used on this record.
Yeah.
You know, and there are plenty others that are just around here. I think over here on YouTube, you can see the Music Man that's sitting over here in the corner. It's on the floor.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, down there. Yeah, it's
this way.
Yeah,
Oops,
that way. Yeah, you can see it over there, kind of kitty corner to the NPC.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's right there, and that was used. There's some of everything, and so that was the other part, is the mix between the organic and the electronic, and that's been the great part, I think, about technology. I think a lot of people, kind of think about not just scoff, but they kind of think, oh yeah, tape was so great and all the rest of this kind of thing, and probably as far as there's probably no way to really get the sound of tape saturation, of actually recording something to tape. I mean, because I'll admit to that is something that's different. So meaning that when you recorded something to tape, if you got a really nice recording of something on tape, it brought a certain character to it.
Okay.
So that just sounded different. Okay. For the better.
Okay.
And whereas with digital, you don't get that. Okay. With digital, you get what you put on. Right. Mm-hmm. Which I don't necessarily say is bad or anything like that, but you is what you put on. It doesn't add character to it. Now you can get plugins that can try to simulate that. Yeah. But there's just a certain magic that happens, with tape when you just throw something to tape and it's got that. So I'll admit that's one aspect that you lose going to digital. Now I'm not talking about cassettes. Okay. So I'm talking about at least, 1/2-inch tape. Okay. Or higher. Okay. But with masters too. So I would say a 1/4-inch, like every now and then with 1/4-inch masters, if I drop something, I put it on that 1/4-inch tape, there was a certain, I guess, gluing together. Yeah. That happened. Right. Yeah. When it hit that. Yeah. That you don't get in the digital. Right. You know what I mean? If it ain't glued together when you're hearing it, it's not going to be glued together when you drop it. Right. Whereas I used to be like, okay, it sounds good now, but when I drop this, man, it's gonna, it just, I don't know. The tape. So it's kind of like a filter or something in there? No, it's just the tape saturation, and so because. Let me make it akin to kind of like cutting something hot on tape is different than cutting something hot on digital. Because digital cracks up. Yeah, right. You clip, you done. It's just you just got a horrible recording. Yeah. Whereas you cut something hot on tape. Yeah. You get something that can really be good. Yeah, special. So it's a whole different thing. Yeah. Because you get that distortion, and I'm saying that's the part that's different, and depending on the amount of headroom you have on your recorder, it can really be something special that you get, and so that part I will say, but the convenience of digital, it's kind of like digital cameras. I'm saying, I take way more pictures now, right, because of the ease of taking with the digital, and it actually, like you said, there's something about the iPhone camera that is beyond any of the DSLRs that we own, and it just a warmth. And again, I think it's some type of where they actually add those filters and things like that. Right, but it is something about that versus I'm saying those other the Canon, the Sony, they all have whatever the built-in whatever's, but with the iPhone, it adds whatever it needs to add to warm it. And that's what it has a glow to it. So I know I like taking with not taking on the phone because I don't want to hog my memory. Right. But I will admit the pictures are just more dynamic and warmer naturally without doing anything extra. Right. So whatever that is. Yeah. So maybe I guess I'm looking at maybe tape. Does something similar? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, audio version. Yeah, because tape is just, I think it's because it's a mechanical thing. Okay. That's happening. So, because what you got on one tape machine could be completely different on another. Yeah. And again, what people are saying, cassettes were always awful. Yeah. I hated them. I mean, they were convenient, but they were awful. Yeah. So I just love, because it was just, not only was it just not predictable as far as like the sound quality goes.
Yeah.
But you also never knew what speed it was going to play.
I was about to say.
You know what I'm saying?
However, so that's the bad part. The good part is I was telling a coworker today that the Brownstone album, the In Vogue album, there were certain albums that because you're limited with the cassette and, you know, we could only play front to back, back to front or whatever. I know those albums, you know, from start to finish. Yeah. Because I was limited. Yeah. You know, it's like, okay, if you brought 5 cassettes to work, that's all you were going to listen to.
But I'm saying I was limited with CDs too. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but it was sort of like, it was just the quality of it. It's like, once we even got to a point where we could drop to a CD as opposed to, you know, dropping to a cassette, at least I kind of had an idea wherever I played it, it was going to be the same speed, it was going to be whatever, you know, but it was like inevitably. And I know when we used to do like the demo taping shopping, and we go to somebody's office, we play it, and it sounds terrible. And it's like, oh God, this thing sounds
And then there was one song, Blue Jeans, that I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the cassette. I don't know what it was, but that song sounded out of tune when we were playing it outside of our studio. Yeah. And I don't know what that was. And that was, okay, so that was our whole argument for not putting all our eggs in one basket, saying this one song was going to be the thing that did it for us, because that was the song for us. Like, oh, but this is going to be the one. And then when we finally dropped it to tape, and I remember taking it to work and letting somebody hear it, and it sounded completely out of tune. And I'm like, what the heck? It sounds like we don't know what we're doing. I'm saying even I was embarrassed. And I'm saying I knew what the song could sound like, but you couldn't hear it on the cassette. So that was the argument for me. Yeah. Well, okay, the cassette thing is not working if you can't tell what speed the player is going to be playing at. Yeah, it was, that really did it. And for putting all the eggs in one basket. Yeah. To say this one song is going to be the thing, putting all your time and energy in one song.
Well, that was the hard part for me with take two, is like, you know, having different ideas at the same time. So, you know, because when everything was analog, you'd have to remember your position on the board.
Settings, right.
So I think I used to rush songs because of that, you know, try to get it down so I get to the song. Right. You know, so songs wouldn't end up as, I guess, you know, perfected. Right. To the extent that they could. Yeah. Simply because I'm trying to move on to the next idea. Right, yeah. You know, and so that's the other part. So whereas with digital, you got the thing, you know, like with the mixer, you know, you can save your settings on the mixer, you can save your setting in your DAW. Yeah. You just move on to another song. Yeah. I can work on, you know, 10, 12 songs all at the same time. Right. Mm-hmm. You know, and it doesn't make a difference, you know, because I don't lose that. You label stuff. You know what your game was on this. You know what all the rest of the stuff. So you just come right back to it and match it right up. Yeah. You know, and that part that's huge because it allows that ability to work over songs for a period of time. Mm-hmm. You know, and at one time I just didn't have the time to do that.
What I'm saying, maybe that is the thing, is the reason why you appreciate the technology and the things. And I say the same thing with social media, podcasting and all. The reason why we appreciate all that is because we remember when, if you wanted to get your message out, if you wanted to get the song out, you had to spend a lot of money, you had to have a lot of money, you had to, you know the right people and whatever else to be able to have the equipment or whatever it was, or the time or the whatever it is. Whereas now that technology has shortened that whole whole thing and brought it where anybody, if you have a message, you can get it out. If you have music, you can get it out. So the bad part is, you know, that maybe Spotify pays you pennies, you know, on the dollar compared to what you could make on it. But the good part is you can get your music out to the world. I mean, it's incredible to me that people all over the world are listening to the music. Oh my God. And it's kind of scary because, or even with the blog, I'm seeing people in Russia. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, but that they're actually listening and they're, you know, viewing the blog and they're listening to the podcast. And I'm like, again, it's overwhelming. It's like, I can't imagine when we were doing the zine and we were snail mailing out CDs or cassettes. I was not mailing to wherever, you know, to across the globe. Right, yeah. You know, if anything, the furthest we mailed was UK. And I'm saying, actually, the one fan that we have that we know that we visited in the UK we got him through the internet.
Right.
So even getting to him was through the internet. So yeah, to find out that you have people all over the world, even if it's in small pockets, that are loving what we're doing is like golden. So that's to me what keeps me, people burn out on it. It's like, how can I burn out when I'm finding these people who appreciate what we do?
But it's like, we're going to do it.
Yeah, right. We were talking about that earlier. We're going to create it anyway. We've been creating for decades. Right. And now it just gives us an opportunity to get it out to people. So I think that's it. Let's turn this up. All right, you guys. So don't forget, next Friday, 7 p.m., More Love Planted. Now, the album is out, Obtanium Flow. It's available for streaming everywhere. Yeah. However, the music video will premiere next Friday, 7 p.m., on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you're interested in watching it with us and hearing a story about it, make sure you come tune in.
We're going to be really busy because you also can pick up an episode of Gavin Jam this weekend. So
that's right. Also, the book. Again, if you want, be the next DIY Rockstar Handbook and Workbook, we're doing a holiday special. You type in holiday 2023 and you get it half off. So that's only to Christmas Day. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out. The link is below. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming. And we will see you next Friday. Bye-bye. Oh, not a touch screen, right?